a great childhood. You know, I grew up in Sierra Madre, which is a suburb of Los Angeles, and second of four kids, great parents. I don't. I could never figure out how to fit in. I could never figure out how to be like all the other kids. There was something different about me that I could never pinpoint. I could never like figure out how to get. So, you know, I spent a lot of years trying to figure out how to be like other kids, and I put on all these like costumes, if you will. I was this chameleon. Anything that you were about, if I thought you were cool, if I thought that if I was about that, you would like me. And so I did that, whatever it was. You know, playing t-ball, playing baseball, you know, playing whatever. But I never really loved it. I never really enjoyed it. I was hoping to gain some, you know, some connection, because I didn't know how to do it. Thankfully, I discovered alcohol at a fairly young age, and it was able to take away all that insecurity, the fear, the self-doubt, all of that stuff. It was able to take all that away. And I was finally able to be kind of comfortable in my own skin, and it worked for a good long time, you know, and until it didn't anymore. And by 19 years old, I was a daily drinker, and by 22, I was basically homeless. Alcohol absolutely cut me to pieces. I was happy to do whatever drugs you had. I was happy to do whatever was in your pocket. But when it was my money bought Jack Daniels. That was my favorite. So what happened was that I got introduced to the rooms of recovery. I got introduced into 12-step program, and I was a mess. I was an absolute mess. I was not housebroken. I was a real mess, and I went through a really gnarly detox in the back of a meeting room, and it was really hard, and they were very dark days for me. I went through a lot of hell. Fortunately, the men in that room circled up around me, and they helped me get through it, and they just kind of loved me, man. They just kind of brought me in, and they showed me what I needed to do, and they gave me the guidance that I needed, and they watched as I stumbled through my first couple of years of sobriety, and made huge mistakes, and got involved in situations I shouldn't have got involved in, all the dumb shit that you do when you're new in recovery, all these brilliant ideas that seem brilliant at the time that are not, and slowly what happened is I just kind of came back to life. I ended up, making amends to my parents, and met this neat girl that I ended up marrying, and I was told that in order to repay these men for what they had done for me, it was my job to do it with somebody else. And I took that job pretty seriously. And so since fall of 1999, I have been very actively walking men through the process of rebuilding their lives. At first I wasn't very good at it, but I was told that my job was to say yes. I was told that was what I was supposed to do, and that the universe would put guys with me that needed what I had to offer. And I worked with a lot of guys, and not a lot of them were staying sober in those early days, but I was. And the more I learned, the more I was able to help. The better I got at helping dudes. Coming up on now 18 years. I've taken well over 100 men through the process. I've watched dozens and dozens and dozens of men rebuild their lives. I've walked them through the process. It's been unbelievable for me. It has been the absolute, the joy of my life. See, when my son was born, I was working out in a hotel in Beverly Hills, and I did my best to quit. I turned in my resignation, and you know, my boss wasn't hearing it, and he said no, basically. I tried to quit, and he said no. And he moved me into his purchasing department. And so it was a culinary position, you know, you had to know food to be in there, and he loved, you know, the idea of a chef buying his food for him. So I moved into his purchasing department, and it was really great for me for a long time. I got to go to the trade shows and work with chefs doing menu development, all kinds of cool stuff. And because of my food knowledge, because of my background, I was really able to excel because I knew what usage was. I knew what guys in the kitchen were doing with these products. And so I was able to buy really effectively. And I made a pretty good name for myself as a culinary buyer, as a food buyer. And I moved a couple different places, and I did buying for some cool people. I kind of got tired of it, and the eternal entrepreneur in me, I opened a little catering company, and we did great. It was a lot of fun. We just did small boutique parties, and we had a lot of fun. 2008 came along and did in my business what 2008 did to everybody's business, and so I went sneaking back in to this little country club, private club near where I live, and started doing their buying. And that's where I was up until a little while ago. What happened there was, and food has been my passion my entire life. I learned very young that I could manipulate textures and flavors very, very easily. It was very natural for me to be able to put flavors together, to manipulate texture, to manipulate smell, and I worked on that palate very, very comfortably. And I was very passionate about it. I'm reading, I'm following every chef that I love, and I'm reading every blog post. I'm following a zillion people on Facebook, and just trying to stay in the know. And was slowly working with these men became more fulfilling to me. About 8 years ago, I discovered Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Little community class. My son was 4 years old, and it was time to get him, kind of doing something. So we went to this little community Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, and we took a class. And so, my son took the class really, and I was watching him on the side, and a couple of the parents came over and asked if I was going to take the adult class. And I just, I'm a 265-pound chain-smoking chef. No, I don't think I'm going to be taking the adult class, but thanks, I appreciate it. So then the next question was, that's cool. So when he's a 15-year-old black belt, and you think he should clean his room, and he thinks you should piss up a rope, what exactly do you intend to do about that? I looked for the holes in the logic. I couldn't find any. So yeah, I suppose I'll take one adult class, maybe one, and that'll be good. So I got on that mat that first day, and they tied me in knots, and they ran me in circles, and I was huffing and puffing and sweating. I felt like throwing up. At the end, I was shaking, and everyone in the class beating the tar out of me, and I could not wait to go back. I could not wait to go back. That week could not pass fast enough. It was all I thought about for a week. That thing, he put me in the arm and all this crazy stuff, and I could not wait to go back. And my son and I made a deal, because he was 4, he just wanted the stuff, he just wanted he wanted that white uniform and the belt, right? He wanted a little card with his picture on it and his name, like that's what he was 4. That's what he wanted the stuff. He saw the stuff, he saw a bunch of kids doing whatever, but he saw the stuff and he wanted the stuff. And so we made a deal. Since he was very young, we've made deals. It's been important in my relationship with him that we've made deals, and a deal's a deal. If it comes out of your father's mouth, you can take it to the bank. If it comes out of yours, I better be able to. So we made a deal, and the deal was that if we wanted to sign up, if we were going to do it, we were going to do it. We'd go, we'd get him all the stuff. We'd get him the uniform and the belt and the card with his name on it and his picture, and it was all very official. And he was just so proud he couldn't even stand. He had the patch right on his chest, and he couldn't have been prouder. And the deal that we made is, if we're going to do this, then we're going to do it until I'm sick of it, not until you can't wake up at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And we made the deal. Fast forward a few years, I started going with these other guys a few days a week now, and started doing these other submission grappling classes, and kind of got into it with a bunch of guys who were this weird underground jiu-jitsu scene in Atwater Village. It was the craziest thing, and they were monsters. It was so much fun. They were they meant it. They were working hard, and your safety was your responsibility, and if you didn't understand the position you were in, it was your job to tap. It was a Shark Tank. It was a lot of fun. And working with these guys, there was this tournament coming up, and so I signed up for this tournament. What the hell? Let's go. Let's see how I play with the other boys and girls. And I was a big guy at the time, and my opponent was another big guy, and I was so frightened. I couldn't have been more afraid. And I stepped out onto the mat, and the ref said fight. And what happened was interesting. My mind went quiet. Just like that first time I took a drink, my mind went quiet. And it was just nothing. It was me and this guy, and one of us was gonna win. Of course I wanted to win, but I wasn't super invested in that, in either side of that outcome. I was invested in doing this tournament, showing up, doing the best I could, win, lose. That was my thing. No, of course I wanted to win, but I wanted to compete more than I wanted to win. A few minutes went by, and there were no bills to pay. There was no pets to feed. There was no boss that I couldn't stand. Nothing. It was just quiet, and I come get jarred back to reality. I got a ref holding my hand in the air. I choked this guy, and he tapped, and I was hooked. How much fun was that, And what I found was that when I was training, I didn't get the quiet head, but when when I would compete, as soon as that ref said fight, I went into this place where there was nothing outside this moment. There was nothing. And I loved being there. And for a while I was doing every tournament I could register for. Made my wife crazy. I would compete every other weekend. I would compete, 4 weekends in a row. It was nuts. My teammates thought I was nuts. The people I was friends with on Facebook thought I was nuts. And I would just compete. For everything from the IBJJF to the little chicken shit in-house tournaments. I didn't care. It didn't matter to me. I wanted a motivated opponent, and it didn't matter if it was a big tournament or a little tournament. If there was marbles on the line, as soon as that ref said fight, I went into this beautiful meditative place, and I won a bunch and I lost a bunch, and it didn't matter whether I won a bunch or lost a bunch. What I was committed to was competing. That's what I was committed to. I was just committed to competing and committed to getting better. I got promoted on the podium at a tournament. My instructor, Danny Vaughn, who's the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor I've ever known, and I've known a bunch. Tore my belt off of me and put on my next rank when I'd won a tournament. It was absolutely thrilling, and I couldn't get enough. I could not get enough. I would get injured, broken ribs. In training one day, this kid broke 3 of my toes, and I would just keep going back. And what I found was that there were so many parallels in jiu-jitsu with what I was doing with these guys in 12-step program. Everything dovetailed so beautifully. I was learning other skills and I was learning other stuff. Everything worked together seamlessly. It was all about ego smashing. It was all about putting down your ego and entering the state of humility where you're capable of learning, where I wasn't the smartest guy in the room, and I wasn't the best guy in the room, and I wasn't at any point. It's one of the great things about jiu-jitsu is you're never the best guy in the room. Even when you're the best guy in the room, especially when you're the best guy in the room, you're not the best guy. Jiu-jitsu is a beautiful douchebag filter, because you can't stay a douchebag and stay in jiu-jitsu very long. You just can't. And I was absolutely in love with it. And the work that I was doing at any given point, I was taking 6 or 8 guys through the process of rebuilding their lives and doing jiu-jitsu and raising my family and all of these things. Each one of these things, I came to this place where I had to show up for it. When my son was born, I had to show up for it. When I got married, I had to show up for my wife. And I didn't know how to show up for my wife. I didn't know how to show up for my son. I didn't know how to show up for jiu-jitsu. What I learned is that inside all of us is our highest self. Our best possible self, this energy that's been around forever. Call it your spirit, call it your soul, call it whatever, that's been around forever. I say, you don't have a spirit, you don't have a soul, you don't have energy. You are a spirit, you are a soul, you are energy. What you have is a body. And what happens is we can tap into that. I learned that I could tap into this ideal self, this best possible self, and I could ask, what would that guy do? Like, what would that guy do in this situation? Newly married, brand new father. What would that guy do? What would my highest, best self do? And the answers were available. The answers were available to me. I knew what I needed to do. I knew that I was born with the ability to love a child. I knew that I was born with the ability to love and nurture and raise a child. I knew that. There was no doubt, there was no hesitation, there was nothing. I knew it. I knew that I had this innate thing where I could do it. The same with my wife. Now we go back and forth, and we've had our turmoil like every relationship, but I can ask in any given situation when times have been hard for us, and we've had some really, really like trying hard times. You know, I've been able to go within and go, go to my higher power and go to my highest possible self and ask those questions. And what does that guy do in this situation? How am I going to be best? How am I going to be the best husband that I can be? What does that mean? Does it mean, once again, dropping my ego? Does it mean, once again, to engage humility, be okay with being wrong, be okay with saying sorry, being okay with rolling my sleeves up and really like engaging, really showing up for my wife? And every time I've been able to do that, it's been huge. So a few years of this, and the jiu-jitsu is doing beautifully, and I'm watching guys come alive in 12-step recovery, and it's just this amazing thing in my life. And then one day somebody asked me if I wanted to do one of those crazy mud runs, Spartan races or whatever. And I kind of looked at the video and I'm like, no, God, no. Why would you do that? And I had just such a visceral reaction. God, no, I don't like to run. I don't like to monkey bar. What is that? And so the response was, okay, that's cool, pussy. And so I did my first mud run. By the way, here's the great tell. I am George McFly. All you gotta do is call me a pussy, and I'm pretty much gonna do anything. Within reason. I suppose I'm currently in the middle of a 90-day raw vegan challenge because that word got thrown into a conversation, and what it is that it bothers me that I think that I can't do something that I should be able to do. 25 plus years as a professional culinarian, and I couldn't figure out how to satisfactorily feed myself for 90 days given a set of restrictions. It bothered me that I thought that I couldn't. So I had to, and it bothered me that I thought I couldn't do that mud run, and so I had to. It just, when I think that I can't do things, but it's funny because it's not everything's like that. It doesn't bother me that I think I can't be a fighter pilot. I don't have the aptitude, I don't have the reflexes, I don't have the eyesight for it. So that doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me that I can't be a pro football player. That's never going to be my thing. It bothers me when I think that I can't do something that reasonably I should. And so I take on these challenges all the time. I make my friends laugh because I'm always doing something new, or I'm always doing something crazy, and I do these mud runs now, these obstacle course races. I do Spartan races and Tough Mudder. I just completed America's Toughest Mudder West, which is the same thing, only hardcore overnight. Everything's all leveled up, and you're doing it in a wetsuit, and it's crazy. And I absolutely love it. I am inexplicably drawn to anything that looks hard, painful, and miserable, and I don't know why. I see things like that, and I have to conquer them. I have to, and I don't have to win. I just got to be able to tell myself that I didn't back away from it. I didn't go, no, I can't do that. And I'll never be one of these competitive racers. I'm not worried about being a competitive racer. In jiu-jitsu, I don't know if I'll ever be the best in the world. In one federation, I won a world championship in 2015, and I'm awfully proud of it. Lots of people say that it's a second-rate federation. I don't know. I know that standing on a podium and having somebody say your world champion is Dave Gieselman, that felt real good, and I was awful proud of my victory that day. So anything that looks challenging, I've kind of grown into this place where I gravitate toward it. I can't help it. I can't stop myself. I want to do things that are hard. I want to do things that are scary. I want to do things that push me beyond the mundane, the mediocre, just the fucking medium. Ugh. I want to be the guy that doesn't back away when things get hard, when things look hard. So this year, I'm doing 3 Tough Mudders. I'll double trifecta on the Spartan, which is crazy, and I'm doing the World Championships of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the end of the year. Just for fun, I'm going to do it all with a total 70-pound weight loss for 2017. That's the goal. So, I do things big. I go in big. What happened was that every weekend was filled with this purposeful, exciting stuff. I was working with guys, and I was doing all this great stuff, and I couldn't pack enough into the weekend. I became this weekend warrior, and I was doing jiu-jitsu and mud runs and all this crazy stuff. And working with guys, watching guys rebuild their lives, and taking so much joy in it, taking so much joy in just being of service to men who needed it. And every Monday I would have to take this deep breath and kind of pack it all back away and go to work and pack it all away for a week and make it through the week until I could get back to my purpose-filled life. And one day I just couldn't. One day I just couldn't anymore, and I sat down and I Googled how to become a life coach. That was it. Somebody had mentioned life coaching, and I wondered what that was. I really liked working with other guys, and somebody mentioned to me that's what I do. That helping these guys get their lives back on track, taking these busted up, broken dudes and helping them find their own way, not my way, but their own way, their own heart-centered way was what life coaching was. I go, well, shit, I've been doing that forever. And I love it. And I realized I just didn't love food the way I loved food anymore. I didn't love that industry the way I love that industry anymore. And I had to make a change. So slowly but slowly, I got a certificate, and I did a bunch of research, and I found my own coach, and I got into this crazy world where literally what I get to do all day is work on myself, become the best possible human being that I can be, and then help others do that. I get to lead the most fulfilling, purposeful life that I can imagine. And then I get to reach out to other men and help them do the exact same. I get to help other guys become the men that they were born to be. Lots and lots and lots of guys don't know how to guy. They don't know how to man. They don't know how to show up. They're full of fear. They're full of self-doubt. They're full of like questions. They don't know how to like engage. They're fearful and role models have been shy in the last 20 years. You know, my father's the best man I've ever met. Hands down, pure and simple. My father's the best man I've ever met. I had great role models. He was, you know, kind and he was patient. He was unconditionally loving. He was taking no shit. And he taught me all that stuff. I had to grow into it myself. But he taught it all. I mean, he instilled all of it. It was years before I was able to take what he taught me and really, really put it into use. But eventually I did, and I get to have a great life today. Lots of guys struggle. They feel emasculated. This, you know, 20 years ago we got Al Bundy, and that became sort of like the masculine role model. And what you're supposed to do is you know, work and bring home money, and no matter how much you bring home, it'll never be enough. You're supposed to, you know, get married and have a wife. You're either going to get married and have a wife that you know can't stand for the rest of your life, or you're supposed to get married 18 times. You know, whatever that deal is. You're supposed to have a bunch of kids that you resent because they dragged your life into the gutter, and you had to give up your car and buy a family wagon or whatever, and like that's the role that we're supposed to follow. That's the model that we had, and it's nonsense, and it's a dangerous thing to put out there. And Married with Children was a family show, but it was a comedy show. But really, where were the solid men that we were supposed to kind of look to? We had sports stars and stuff. Where were the solid men that we were supposed to look to? They're pretty few and far between, and a lot of guys are rudderless in that regard today. You know, we don't have the tribes that we used to. We don't have the groups of men that we used to. We just don't have it. You know, and we don't have the physical contact that we used to have. Men don't touch each other under any circumstances these days, and that's very weird to me. I wrestle with men 5 days a week. I put my hands on guys, and as a result of that, I have intimate relationships with men, and that part of me is very fulfilled. I have intimate relationships. I have competitive relationships. I have very loving relationships, and I'm very grateful for it, and it's been a joy. And so what I do is I show guys, I show them that what they need they already possess. And it's just time to shine a light on it. That's all I do. Is I show guys that they have absolutely everything they need, and I just help them access it. Once we fling open those doors, watching these men flourish is unbelievable. Now, I do a lot of things with guys. I'm gonna get you rolling. I can't advocate it enough. I'm gonna get you doing combat sport. I'm gonna get you putting your hands on dudes. There is something about combat that is good for the male energy. and I don't mean we're gonna beat the tar out of each other. I mean we're gonna work and we're gonna grind on each other. We're gonna exercise and we're gonna sweat and then we're gonna ask some really, really hard questions. And when you break down the body a little bit, what happens is some of those mental defenses fall away. And all of a sudden you become raw and you become authentic. And you come from a place that doesn't have any more filters because they've all been worked out of you. And what happens at that point is when you are confronted by other men in a loving way, what comes out is the truth. And the truth is what we're looking for. Not the best story you got, not, but just the truth. Where are you? In these categories, where are you? Are you great in these and you're sorry in these? Where are you? Are you living your life in fear? Are you living your life in inadequacy? Are you living your life in this place of desperation? Is everything that you want always like over the hurdle and around the corner? Is it always that way? Is it always out of reach? I promise you that it doesn't have to be that way. I promise you. I absolutely promise you it does not have to be that way. Nothing comes without work. But absolutely everything that you can sit here and imagine, you can have. If you are willing to work for it, if you are willing to be dedicated to it, if you are willing to do what it takes to have it, I'm telling you right now, you can have any life you want, period. Without qualification, you can have that life. I've seen it. I've seen guys go after shit that I thought was crazy. And it's my job to get in behind them and tell them that it's not, and then just stand there slack-jawed as they achieve things that are just they're unbelievable. I love it. I love it when guys dream bigger than me and then nail it. I love that. It does something for me to see men succeed, to see them, stop acting in competition with each other. The competitive aspect of the male energy, which is great, but the competitive aspect of the male energy is only useful when there is scarcity. There's only one gold medal. I'm getting it. Okay? There's only one first place. I'm getting it. There's something to compete for. I'm gonna win it, and I'm gonna be competitive. There's scarcity. There's only one of those things, and I'm gonna get it. There's only one. There's only one apprenticeship. There's only one internship. There's only one executive chef. The position's open. I'm gonna go get it, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm gonna be competitive, and I'm gonna get that thing. When there is abundance, there is no need for competition. As a matter of fact, when there is abundance, competition is a detriment. Cooperation creates more abundance. In a place of abundance, cooperation works better than competition. Always has, always will. When there's scarcity, go get yours, motherfucker. But when there's abundance, and in our society there's abundance, there's so much. There's so much money. There's so much opportunity. There's plenty of food. There's plenty of love. There's plenty of whatever it is that you think you don't have enough of. There's plenty. All you have to do is work for it. Competition is for when there's scarcity. But there's not. There's not right now. Even in the cooperative aspect, the people who work harder will get more. Plain and simple. If I outwork you, I'm gonna end up with a bigger piece. But I don't need to elbow you out of the way in order to get it.